Hello again, I am Blunty, and in my crosshairs for review today is the Sony DSC-HX20V, which is a boring name for an interesting compact camera that I've been getting quite a lot of mail about from you folks, because on the face of it, the bang for buck performance seems pretty attractive. So let's break it down Blunty review style and see how it measures up. Its handling, styling, weight and control layout are all exactly what you'd expect on a point and shoot. Don't fix what ain't broke, I guess. And the build feels nice and robust. Power on time is snappy, so the risk of missing action while waiting for your camera to spring to life is minimal. And its basic stats read pretty nicely too. It's got an 18 megapixel X-R sensor, a 20x optical zoom, which can double to 40 times with what Sony calls clear image zoom. Basically, that's just some fancy software trickery to try and make digital zoom not suck like a bullet hole in a space station. But we'll get to that. And it's got Sony's superb Optical Steadyshot, which, even if you're holding the camera on an outstretched arm, one-handed, walking like you've got a shoe full of ants, it somehow still manages to spit out perfectly usable results. I suspect black magic. It's got all the modes you'd expect, including full manual, but there's a real kick in the shins quirk here, as instead of being able to control the aperture smoothly, it just kind of flicks between two locked off settings, which makes it much less useful for taking full creative control. Using manual mode is also a bit fiddly and clumsy, but to be fair, point and shoots are really intended and designed to be used as point and shoots, so I can't kick its teeth in too much for that. At least it's there. Movie mode is present, and delightfully there's some decent options here. You can shoot in Full HD at 50i, 50p or 25p, with several options of bit rates depending on if you want to prioritize image quality or record time. And for the easy mode noob shooters out there, you've got the whole shebang of preset scene modes to help you cope with a wide range of conditions and subjects without actually having to know much about what you're doing. One of my favourite features is the macro mode, which aside from being very nice to have, also lets you get in practically close to your subject. It'll happily focus on objects that the lens mechanism is actually touching or pushing over, so be mindful when you're using it or you may lens smush the thing you're trying to shoot. I was impressed with the dynamic range too. Even when I try and kick its ass with a face in shadow and the morning sun itself in frame behind the subject, it still managed to hold on to the detail in the shadows, and as you can see, it's a nice wide-angle lens when zoomed out, so it's just right for self-portraits and on-the-go video blogs. Now, I mentioned the 20x optical zoom and the superb stabilization, but it's how they work together that will blow you away and actually makes them really useful. Usually trying to shoot a super zoomed in shot while handheld will just vomit up video that looks like an epileptic riding an unbalanced washing machine shot it. But the little pocketable Sony just kind of snorts derisively as if it's daring you to go find a pogo stick to ride while shooting, so it has a challenge. And when you push past the 20x optical zoom and ask it to up to double it using presumably some kind of dark magic, as I mentioned before, it still manages to keep the image floaty and smooth, although at this extreme, shooting videos or even stills, the image does get kinda soft. Remember, at this end of the zoom range, it's all digital trickery and not true optical magnification. But while it makes video too soft for my liking, in stills, thanks to the much higher resolution, it's still reasonable. Although taking a close look, it kind of takes on a bit of a paint daub look. But so long as you're not making big prints, they're pretty acceptable. But if you stick to using the optical zoom, you are rewarded with some very beautiful results. The images and video both have an extremely pleasant, almost liquid-like aesthetic to them. Detail is kept sharp and clean, while gradations and tones all have wonderfully smooth transitions, free of colour banding and other artifacting. And for a humble little point and shoot, a truly surprising amount of detail is captured, even at 100% crop. And something in particular Sony's X-R sensors are well loved for is their clean performance in low light conditions. Video mode does soften up a bit in the dark and there's a little bit of noise, but it's managed well enough to still be pretty useful. Stills mode fares even better in fading light and the dark of night. This is also where that full manual mode comes in handy, letting you turn a snapshot, which rates as not bad, into a properly pretty photograph. To cap it all off, the HX20, that's what I'm calling it for short because the long name is kind of boring and clumsy. I was more impressed with it than I'd honestly expected to be. It's a well-rounded bit of kit and a very useful performer for all the regular point-and-shoot duties like travel, house party happy snaps, and as a never leave home without it supplement for the big serious gear too heavy and cumbersome to take with you everywhere you go, but with significantly more capability than the fixed lens snapper in your camera phone. Absolutely worth adding to your list of cameras to look at if you're looking for a new happy snapper. Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I'll catch you next time.